Hello, everyone. Happy Monday. Last week or the week before, Microsoft had its quarterly earnings. And one of the interesting things about the Microsoft's quarterly earnings was that Azure cloud revenue was up 43%. Now, again, a lot of questions. What is Azure? What is cloud? So let's talk about cloud. Cloud is nothing but whenever you upload a picture to your Instagram, where does it go? It goes to the cloud. When you create if you're a YouTuber, whenever you create a YouTube video and upload it on YouTube, where does it go? It goes to the cloud. And similarly on Twitter, if you're on X and you write a post and when you hit save, where is the post saved? Cloud. So cloud is just another name for data center. Somewhere there's a big building with lots of storage and lots of chips and lots of processing power. That is where your Instagram photos are stored, your YouTube videos are stored. So there are companies who specialize in building these data centers, and there's a marketing, every company has a marketing term for that. So the Microsoft's marketing term for its cloud is Azure, Azure, Azure. The Google Cloud is called Google Cloud Service, which is very simple. Amazon's is called Amazon Web Service, AWS. You must have heard that name again and again and again. So these are the three big boys. And so coming back to the story, the Azure Cloud's revenue went 43% in 3 months. $100 billion Microsoft made revenue in 3 months on Azure. 43%, which means, think about that. And because of that, the Microsoft stock went up 16%. So Microsoft is around $3 trillion company. 16% of 3 trillion is around $450 billion of value was added to Microsoft in one day. In one day, $450 billion market cap went up Microsoft's. Think about that. Now, just for comparison, the India's largest private company is Reliance Industries. They are into oil and gas business and they have been doing this for 50 years. The entire Reliance's market cap is 180, 200 billion. And Microsoft's valuation went up by two Reliance Industries in one day. So that is powerful. And this $450 billion jump in valuation in one day is a history. It's historic basically in American stock market. Now, why did the stock went up? The stock went up because Microsoft was spending billions of dollars in creating this data centers in anticipation that a lot of people will use AI. And when you use more AI, more cloud is needed. Whenever you ask a question to ChatGPT, whenever you ask a question to Claude, what happens? You ask a question that who is the first prime minister of India, and that question goes to cloud, and over there it is processed, and then Jawaharlal Nehru will come back as an answer. So the more people ask questions, the more cloud infrastructure is needed, and that means OpenAI, Anthropic are going to pay a lot of money to these companies who are building the cloud infrastructure, and this is why Microsoft's stock went up. And um, despite of what you hear about protest against data center in America, data center capacity is going to double in next 3 years. Think about that. America is going to add 700 data centers in next 3 years with the capacity of 400 and with the capacity of 45 gigawatts. Now, what is a gigawatt? What does gigawatt and data center have to do? We will discuss that in some other video. But just imagine in the next 3 years, the whole country of India is going to add 2 gigawatts of data center or 2 gigawatts of compute. That is what they say. America is going to add 45 gigawatts, and because the demand is keep on increasing, and this is again where good businessman has to predict what is the demand going to be 3 years from now, 4 years from now. Microsoft before 3 years was investing billions of dollars creating this infrastructure, cloud infrastructure, and investors were worried that will the demand be there for Microsoft to make money? Now we have the answer, because Azure revenue went up by 43%, which means, and all the AI companies are paying Microsoft a lot of money to run the queries, from ChatGPT, from Claude, etc., etc. So it is like, to give an analogy, let's say you open a restaurant and your restaurant has like 500 seats. You open the restaurant and only 50 people come to your restaurant. Next day also 50 people come. For the whole month, the average is 50 people. You have a restaurant with 500 seats, which means now you will go bankrupt, because you are going to pay the rent for the big restaurant, light, electricity, heating, cooling, everything is for a big restaurant, whereas your customer is only 50. Now imagine the opposite. Your restaurant has 500 seat and there are 1,000 people coming to your restaurant. They are waiting in the line, right? They are waiting for like 30 minutes to get a table. In that case, you are going to make a lot of money, right? That is exactly what is happening with these companies that are doing AI infrastructure. So yeah, Microsoft put a lot of money in the AI infrastructure, and the customers are coming, the demand is coming, and that's why Microsoft got rewarded by 16% jump in the price. Now there is another new term that is now running around in the Silicon Valley. It is called NeoCloud. So anything that has neo in front of it, which means new. For example, you have the old banks, Bank of America, JP Morgan Chase. These are old banks, and now they have something called neo bank, new banks. What is neobank? It's a website. Your money is in the cloud somewhere. They'll give you a little more interest rate, and I don't put my money over there. I like the traditional brick and mortar bank where there's a building and you can go and talk to a human being. But there is neobanks, which a lot of youngsters and Gen Z people love it. Similarly, now we have NeoClouds. What are these NeoClouds? NeoClouds are nothing but a data center that is full of GPUs. The old cloud is full of CPUs. Now, what is the difference between CPU and a GPU? It's very simple. Both are semiconductors, but they work differently. For example, let's say I have 100 pictures of cats and dogs and I want to separate them. So I call my best friend, can you please come? So my friend will come, he'll pick one picture. Okay, cat, he'll put it there. Second picture, dog. Third picture, cat. Fourth picture, cat. So he'll keep on doing it one at a time. So that is what CPU does. It will do a complicated task, but it does one thing at a time. GPU, again, same example. I have 100 pictures of cats and dog. I want to separate. Instead of calling one friend, I will call 100 people. And every person will, 100 people come at the same time. They will pick one card. Cat people will put it on the cat. Dog people will put in the dog. So in 1 second, the job is done. That is what GPU does. But the only disadvantage of GPU is that it can do lots of operations parallelly, but it has to be small operations. CPU can do a very complicated operation. For example, rendering a Photoshop, right? It's a very complicated. If you have a big video file and you want to render it or do something, CPU can do that. But for like small things which you need to do it in parallel, GPU is very good. And what is AI? AI is nothing but matrix multiplication. So you have to do trillions of small calculations. 5,000 into 7152. Another question is 100,000 multiplied by 743. So trillions of operations like that is required for AI. So what NVIDIA GPU does is it creates trillion threads, and it will pick trillion small operations, it will fix it and do it. So it can do, imagine trillion friends are coming to my house and every person will do only little work. That is what a GPU is. So this NeoCloud is full of GPUs compared to the original cloud, that is CPUs. Example of original cloud, obviously Microsoft Azure, AWS, Google Cloud Services. These are all old clouds. The Neo clouds are now CoreWeave, Nebius, and Lambda, as well as now the old timers like Azure and AWS and Google are also creating data centers full of GPUs. The old cloud with CPUs, what was their job? Save Instagram photo, save your YouTube video, save your email, all those things they were doing. What is the job of the Neo cloud? Only AI. They only do AI processing, right? Whenever you ask a question to Chat GPT or Anthropic, it goes to the NeoCloud, and who is the first Prime Minister of India? It goes there. Answer is Jawaharlal Nehru. It comes back. So this process is called inference. So they are using this inference. GPUs are doing inference. My father is asking some question. Your uncle is asking some question. So all these questions are coming to these data centers. They are processing it, and then they are processing on large language model, and they are giving the answer. And that demand was the bet Microsoft made 2 3 years ago, that there'll be a lot of people who will be asking a lot of questions to AI, which means we'll need a lot of infrastructure. And their prediction came true. That is why Microsoft stock went up by 16%. And that is what capitalism is all about. All these big companies, the CEOs, what are they doing? They are predicting the future. They are making huge bets and assuming that there'll be enough customers to use their product. And if that becomes true, you get rewarded with money. If that becomes wrong, then your stock is hammered. But in this case, lots and lots of people are using AI, which means Microsoft stock went up. Now, what is the reason why the demand is going up? It is because of these phones. Now AI is built into the phones. The next iPhone is going to come tomorrow, and next month it will have an advanced Siri with Gemini. And now people are going to ask a lot of questions. Kids are going to ask questions every day. Imagine how many questions kids ask, right? Parents get fed up. They will just give Gemini or Siri to the kid, and kid will keep on asking the questions. All those questions go to the this NeoClouds, where it is processed and the answer comes back. So imagine billions of people are going to ask trillions of questions, and all these questions have to be processed in the data center. And that is why lots and lots of data centers are being built on the assumption that people will keep on asking questions. So what is the negative part? What can go wrong, right? The one thing that can go wrong is people stop asking questions. Well, that is never going to happen. Human beings are curious. We have a lot of questions every day. How do I make biryani? How much salt do I put in aloo bangan curry? How do we make dal? What is the recipe for weight loss? Give me a recipe for 100 grams of protein. We have questions upon questions which we keep on asking to this AI tools. More and more people are going to ask that, which means the usage is going to go up. But the second second important thing that can negatively affect the data center companies is efficiency. These AI models, this Claude and OpenAI, if they become more efficient, they will use less processing power. If they use less processing power, which means one data center can do job of 10 data centers. You get the point. So this efficiency is the enemy of data center companies. Right now the algorithms are not very efficient. They're efficient compared to 4 years ago, but every year or every few months the algorithm gets efficient, less power, less power, less power. If that happens, we'll have excess capacity of the data centers, and then it is like a restaurant that does not have any customers. And the third enemy for this data center boom is local processing, right? What if the Apple iPhone has big storage and the processor is so powerful that whenever you ask the question, who is the first Prime Minister of India, Apple doesn't even go to the cloud. It already has a large language model inside the iPhone, and it will answer the question right from the client only. If that happens, then all the queries that are going to data center will stop. It is like all the customers who are going to the restaurant will stop. They're cooking food at home, right? So if I ask the query on the iPhone and iPhone answers the query because the large language or a small language model is on the iPhone itself, then who is going to use the data center? So these are the few things that can hurt the data center business in the long term. And also there's Chinese models, right? The Chinese models, open source models, where people will have their own hardware instead of their data center. I will have in my closet, I will have my own machine, Apple Mac Mini. I will have like 2 or 3 Mac Minis, and I will download the free open source model, and I will run my queries against that. If that happens, so that is also a threat. So anything that stops data center queries from going to data center will be the enemy of this data center growth. But right now that is not the case. So in at least until 2030, the data center boom is going to stay. At least that is the prediction. What will be the reality? Well, time will tell. Thanks for watching this video. Until next time, bye bye.